In 2025, golf clubs are getting more and more expensive. So I thought I'd do some digging and see just what second-hand bargains you can find. I think I've got the 5 best second-hand golf clubs money can buy, and today we're going to talk through them and see just how they can save you guys some money, but also help you with your golf. Hi everyone, my name's James and welcome back to this YouTube channel. We're going to kick things off with a wedge. I've got a set of irons. I also have a hybrid, which I think could be the best hybrid ever released, and you can get it for a crazy price. We have a fairway wood and a driver, which I think could make the perfect set. So we'll kick things off, guys, and I have a Titleist Vokey, but it's not just any Vokey. This is an SM8, so the 8th generation of the spin mill wedge. I absolutely love Vokeys. I think Vokeys have been and always will be the best wedge available on the market. The fact you're now paying like £200 for a wedge, for me that's too expensive. You can get a full set of SM8s, you can go second hand, or you can even find some. It's funny, you know, because pro shops buy lots and lots of wedges to get the best deals off Titleist themselves, and sometimes pro shops still have brand new SM8s, SM9s. You don't have to go straight into the SM10. So we'll hit a couple of shots with this and see just how well it can perform. All these clubs we're going to talk numbers for as well and see just how well they truly perform on the launch monitor. But for me, I don't think you need the latest tech in a wedge to play good golf. I've got a 50-degree wedge here. I think that might go in, Rob, if that's the right distance. How good is that? Now, when Vokey introduced the new kind of centre of gravity technology, this was the SM8. I was lucky enough to go and meet Bob Vokey, and he fitted me for a set of SM8s. This is the 50 degrees, 8 degrees of bounce with an F grind. And that's the big kicker. If you can get the right grind for yourself, if you can go and get the right amount of bounce on a wedge, I really don't see why you would go and spend upwards of 160, 170, even more, in pounds that is, on a wedge. When you can get something like this, you can play really good golf with it, and you can be really consistent with it as well. One of the things that I think is a huge benefit to people when buying wedges is the array of clubs you can get. Now, you don't always have to have 3 Vokey wedges, 2 Vokey wedges, an arsenal of Vokey wedges. God forbid you could have a Callaway and a Vokey. As long as they do the right things for you, as long as the gapping's correct, as long as you can use them around the greens like you should do. In fact, speaking of around the greens, let's just have a little bit of a think about how simple we can make golf by using a good quality wedge like this that is, of course, second-hand and saving you some money without spending a lot of money. You can see where those 2 shots have finished from 100 yards and out, and that's where I want to focus on for the numbers. But really, I want to look at just how simple we can make little bump and run shots like this to try and lower your scores. And you can duff it, but you don't feel bad duffing it because it's only cost you 80 quid. If that was 200 quid, I'd be raging. And you see, one of the big things for me is when you're buying wedges, a new Vokey wedge can cost nearly £200. I find that ridiculous when really technology hasn't moved on that much. The SM8 still has that lovely CG technology where the CG is basically like here. I was lucky enough to get fitted by Bob Vokey for these, and as you saw outside, the good clubs to chip around the green with and play pitch shots in. But as long as you get a good one, like you can probably get a nearly new one for a lot less than £100, you can start to get some really nice shots. You can get some really good spin rates. You can get really good control. So for me, this is a 50-degree wedge, and if I can hit this anywhere around 110, 115, it's doing the job for me. Do you want to spend a lot of your budget if you're building a bag or if you're looking for second-hand bargains on the wedges? Or do you just want something that will work and something that's going to be nice and consistent? You can see there, nearly 8,000 spin on this club, pitching again exactly the same at 110 yards, and the feel on these clubs is still very good. There's a big misconception that Vokeys are actually a forward club, and they're not. They are cast, but they still feel very nice and very soft. So you've seen how versatile these clubs can be out on the golf course. How consistent can they be with numbers here in the studio? 8,000 spin, around a 110 carry, 110.1. Who am I to argue over 0.1 of a yard? Okay, so we've seen just how much money you can save with the wedges. Now, the irons, oh, that's not the irons. These are the irons. Now, they're not the irons, they're the irons. Now, the irons are absolutely gorgeous. I think these are some of the best irons I reviewed, and they're a couple of years old now. These are, of course, the ZX7s. We now have the ZXi7s, and there's a couple more generations of Shrixon irons, but you can pick these up for like 400 or 500 quid, Bob. That's frightening value, isn't it? Yeah, it might be kind of 5-iron to wedge or whatever, but you can get some really good deals with these irons. Now, when we talk numbers for these, I think Shrixon's done a really good job on making them feel fantastic. I think they'll look great if you're a Shrixon fan. I think if you're not a Shrixon fan, you might take some warming to them, and that's why we don't see them in that many people's bags. But we're 150 yards out here, and I've got the 8-iron. Look at this for kind of down at the ball. And you show me a better looking iron than that. It doesn't look like a blade, it doesn't look like a big cavity, it kind of looks like its own club, which I think is an exceptional way to be. Can we hit some close in here? Like that as a strike is absolutely phenomenal, and what Shrixon have done, that's the perfect distance as well, isn't it? That's done really, really well. What Shrixon have done with these clubs, and we'll see when we talk numbers, is allow for that perimeter weighting, but also ram lots of weight down here low. So they're easy to launch, but you can also kind of flatten them down if you want to because of how they're made. You can see we've got that lovely little spine on the sole there for the turf interaction, and I think divot wise there, that's as good a turf interaction as I'm going to get. Bob's tried doing me here. He's put a mud ball down. I saw you do that on purpose as well. That wasn't very nice. Right, I've got one on the green, flag high. We're into the wind here, so can we flight it down just a touch? How good is that? Like, that's about 10 feet away and it's stopped absolutely perfectly. At what point do you stop buying the latest and greatest irons? At what point do you stop spending £1,300 now on a set of new clubs, and do you just go, right, you know, for 500 quid, 400 quid, I can get myself a set of those. Yes, you need to make sure you get the right shafts, get the right lie angles. You can adjust lie angles anyway because they're forged, Bob. So you can just tweak them a bit, take them somewhere at SGGT, make sure you get them in the perfect specs. But apart from that, I'm struggling to see better value for a set of irons. I've tried absolutely pummeling that low, and it's gone low, but it was a bit knifey. Let's jump inside, let's talk numbers for these clubs as well, see just how good a value they could really be, and then we're going to get into the fairway woods and the hybrids and the driver. I love this. I love this game. That guy's playing like Brent Snedeker. And for me, when you are buying a set of second-hand, or even not second-hand, just a set of older irons, I think it's nice to be in the knowledge that things haven't really moved on too much. You'll see here with this Shrixon ZX7, it looks like a gorgeous looking club. I can't believe how much you can pick these up for. And realistically, down at the ball, that looks frightening. I've set a green out there at 150. And we know that Shrixon have made fantastic golf clubs for a very, very, very long time. We also know that's really good numbers for me for an 8-iron, you know. That technology in golf clubs, and this video will have a lot of this in, doesn't really move on that much. We've got some hybrids coming up, we've got some woods, and we've got a driver to talk to you about. And realistically, I think you could put a really good set together, not spend too much money, and like such as these, nobody's going to know that maybe there's some new ones on the horizon, maybe there's a new set come already. No one really, with Shrixon, it's not like you're talking about Callaway where it's a huge Paradigm, Elite, Maverick. It's just a couple of numbers and letters, and as long as you've got the clubs that work for you and they feel good and you like the specs, you can see just how good and consistent these can be. Is that pitching around 155, releasing out to 160? 153, releasing out to 159.7. Again, I love that I know how good all of these clubs are going to perform. And the fact that I know how consistent they're going to be really speaks volumes as to the deals you can get in 2025. And 26, because that's not far away. Next up for me is a club which I think could be the most underrated golf club of all time. And you can get it an absolute steal now. And it is a Cobra Rad Speed 1 length hybrid. Now, I'm a big hybrid fan. I'm a big fan of the baffler rails that Cobra do put on their hybrids. I think Cobra makes some of the best hybrids in the game, and of course this one is a 7-iron length as well. We're going to talk numbers in just a second for this, but I think that if you struggle off the tee, or if you want to flight the ball down a little bit, if you want a certain array of shots, this could really be a club that I wouldn't even put a number on it or a club on it. I'd just say, oh, this is my club that I hit in this scenario. Because you can feel, like, look how short that looks. And then you can just hit it like that. It's like a lot lower than any other club I'm going to hit. You can see that we have this lovely turf interaction down here on the floor as well. That wasn't heavy, it was just a nice strike, but these baffler rails really keep the club moving through any kind of lie. So we're on a tee box here, but you could quite easily hit it out the rough or from any kind of lie. And like, from a consistency standpoint, I think the one time that someone would struggle is if they really want a nice high launching club, because this is a lot harder to do that with that shorter shaft length. The club head speed is going to be a lot less. We have it in 21 degrees, so it still launches okay. But certainly, like if you married it with a high launching ball, like an Ionema ball, so the ball just goes straight up off the bat, it could be an absolute weapon. This is for 3 out of 3. And even that way I've caught that toey, look at that for a... Right, so you see that ball flight there? You will not believe where I've struck this from. And I'll put on screen now just how much you can get one of these for, because if you can get one, honestly, if you struggle with any element of the game, like outside 150 yards, I dare say this is the answer. Let's jump inside, let's talk some numbers, because I think this might be the best of the bunch. Although there's 2 clubs in there, which are quite frankly ridiculous, so don't go anywhere. Okay, so the one length theory is a really interesting one, because I've not seen something this good since the Rad Speed one length hybrid. It's 21 degree, you can see we've got a nice weight in the back there, and we've got these rails, which again, as you've seen outside, can really help with different lies and hitting out a rough. Now, a couple of different brands have taken the one length theory on. There's Edel, there's Avoda. Cobra don't seem to have kind of moved on with it since they don't have Bryson, which is an interesting one. But I wasn't a fan of the one length irons. My dad did use one length irons, but chopped down the short irons so they were regulation length, which is the most my dad thing ever, and I'll never forget that. It's really funny. But if you struggle off the tee, if you struggle with woods here, this is a 7-iron length, and you can see just how low and piercing that is for a shot. That spin at 4,000, so there's loads of spin on there. Pitching at 195, releasing up over that 200-yard mark. For me, I wouldn't even think of this as a 4 hybrid or a 3 hybrid or a 5 hybrid. For me, this is just my short club. And if I struggle, if I'm in the trees, I want to flight it down, it's so much easier to hit this lower and to hit different shots with it because of that shaft length. Now, shaft length, I can't speak this morning, Bob. Slow down. You know what, I do need to slow down, don't I? But if you do struggle with shots like that, you might top the first few, because it does feel strange looking down at a club that's this short with this kind of head size. But you can see again there how I've just absolutely pummeled that. It's gone left a bit, but again, it's going to chase well over that 200-yard mark. Now, if I'm looking for a club for off the tee, and I really, say you're at your wit's end with driver and 3-wood and 7-wood and everything, I don't want to play golf anymore, I can't hit it off the tee, I'm fed up. The amount of times I've heard that, and the amount of times that something like this, like I feel like if I just aim up the right side with this club, that's the kind of, I'll give it that, that's the toppy one. You know, where it's like 190 yards straight down the middle of the fairway. You do need to practice with something like this, and it's not perfect, but for the price you can pick it up at, I was Googling it this morning when I was putting this kind of little bag together, I think it's ridiculous. As soon as I've said, oh, you might top it, they've come in, Bob. I need to stand a little bit more over it is what we need. More over it, closer down, and get there. Because I love this theory and love this idea. And you just don't want to be the guy who tops it, do you really? But for the price, if you notice, I've hit more, I was going to hit 3 shots with this, but I've hit more and more because I absolutely love it. I love it out on the course, I love it in the studio, I love to see what kind of numbers we can get with it. So for me, that's the one, Bob. That's the one we've been waiting for. And that's the one that really annoys all your friends who you're playing with, because you've hit it 220 yards with a club the length of their 7-iron. Brilliant. And of course, consistency is the name of the game when it comes to a club like this one length hybrid. And you can see we've got 3 balls all in a row there. They've gone exactly the same distance, even with 3 varying strikes. I think this could be one of the best clubs ever released. And the fact you can get it for this price is quite frankly ridiculous. Okay, so we've spoke wedges, we've talked about irons, we've even discussed, I think, the best club ever released in the one length hybrid. We also have a club in here, which to be honest, could be a fantastic option for anybody who struggles from that kind of 200 yards and out. Now, this club, there's only one in there by the way, the other one's already out, but this club is the TaylorMade Stealth 2 7 wood. It's 21 degrees, it's got that lovely V-steel technology, it has that through slot speed pocket to help maintain ball speed on low face hits. And 21 degrees when I was growing up was always a 5 wood. It was 19 to 20, wasn't it? Was it the same for you, Bob?
I think so.
So like really, is this a 7 wood or is it a 5 wood? We'll leave that with you. But the size of the head here, it's a lovely small head. That does look incredibly high lofted actually, doesn't it? I think it looks really, really good. I really like that kind of etching on top as well. I do forget what that's called, but it's designed to differentiate the face and the crown, which is really nice. We're here in the rough. We're going to talk numbers for this in a second, but in the rough, it can be a really good club for anybody who struggles from distance, because you don't always have to be going for the green to hit a good shot here. We're a good 220 yards out. I've hit that slightly left, but it's up there. I mean, it's flag high, isn't it, that? I didn't anticipate that to do so well, to be honest. But any club with lots of loft, you can generate some really nice forgiving, was that coming towards us then? Some really nice forgiving shots. I've hit that quite high out the face. We're in the rough, so I'm not hoping for too much. But I know that if I tried to hit a 4-iron or a 5-iron here, it wouldn't be this easy to hit that. How good is that? I know some of the world's best players are now putting in 7 woods and 9 woods into their bags, and I think really, yeah, there's technology in here, and yes, of course, there's technology in the new latest TaylorMade woods and the new Callaway and Titleist woods, but the truth here is in the loft. If you can just go and get yourself, and we'll put on screen how much you can get this for. This is still a very good steal or deal, I think, but you could go even older than this. You could go stealth, you could go, what was before stealth, Bob? M6, M5, something like that. So you could go there. This has sat down quite badly, this is awful. That's the shot that makes this club one of the best bargains. Because that's frighteningly good, isn't it? You're just not doing that with an iron. Guys, let's jump inside, let's talk numbers for this. I'm going to say again, I think it's one of the best clubs. I think I've got a really good array of clubs in this box to hopefully help you guys, try saying that quickly, save some money and play better golf. That's why I'm here. Okay, so with this, it's an interesting one. You can see it is, of course, the TaylorMade Stealth 2 7 wood. I love this as a design. I thought the Stealth 2 was a fantastic option, obviously pre-QI10, pre-QI35. If I could, I would have looked for a Stealth, because you're going to save yourself a bit more money, and they didn't really change the fairway woods too much, but I love the multi-material composite design. We've got that, it looks like a carbon, but it's not. It's just a nice little kind of titanium head. And of course we have, this is the key goods. That's the through slot speed pocket, and that's what's going to help you generate that ball speed on the low face hits. I generally do find myself with low face hits on small fairway woods like this, but that's the shot that I want to hit with it. It's a 7 wood, it's going to carry around 200, 210. It's not that sexy, but it's always going to do the numbers that you want it to do. The key element, and we will have spent more time outside with this club than in here in the studio, is hitting from those different lies, hitting from the rough, hitting it from the tee, hitting it from the fairway. And of course, having the air of versatility. You can see that was a nice big high cut. And that's another big high. I'm talking about versatility. Side spin 1. That's absolutely frightening. 216, 230 total. It's never going to be like, I do wonder with 7 woods, because a lot of people think, oh, well, I'm just going to get a 3 wood and try and hit it as far as my driver. That's the most pointless argument in the world ever. You want something that's going to go a certain distance and consistently go that distance. Chris is fantastic with 7 woods. Chris had this in the bag for quite a while, that's why it's looking like it is. But for some of the clubs you can get for this money, can we flight it down, you ask? Probably not, but I don't think that's why you get it, is it? I feel like I'm arguing against myself as to I want this to be really versatile, and you know what, if it isn't, probably even better, because if the people who don't know how to hit it low and hit it high hit this and then start hitting it low, you're like, well, why is this not working? Why is it not going high? Oh, well, it's versatile. Yeah, but we don't want versatile, we want nice and high. And that's exactly what you're getting. I've pulled that one a bit, but 220? Say no more. Say no more. Last but not least in this box, we have the driver, which is of course a Cobra. It's another Cobra in this little kind of video, but Cobra have made some fantastic clubs that I don't know why they seem to have, yeah, it's King Speed, we were just discussing what it's called, weren't we, Bob? But you've got movable weight tech on here, you've got that CNC face, we'll talk numbers for this in just a second, we've got the 360 carbon wrap, which, like, what more do you want? Now, I think the F9's a fantastic driver, and I do personally feel like that's where I would spend my money, because you could get that around £110. But this was more forgiving than the F9, and £140 circa, you can see on the screen now, you can get like 138 up to 165 depending where you go. So for me, this is really going to take some beating, and this would stand up against the new latest and greatest, the Dark Speed, the QI10, the QI35, the Callaway Elite. I think it looks as good as anything. Do you? Got that lovely kind of ridge on top as well. So for me, really, with this club, what do you want for the money is the big question, isn't it? We've only got one ball here, and this is the hardest hole in the golf course. So before we talk numbers, can we hit the fairway? Before I hit it, we're going to talk numbers. And you see, the funny thing for me is with this driver, you can get this at such a low price. Personally, I do love the Cobra F9. If you can get hold of an F9, that's probably what I'd do. But this is the one that superseded the F9. You can see we have that movable weight technology, we have that CNC face, and we have a lovely little kind of carbon crown as well. So really, really nice looking club. You can get, I mean, we've just been hitting some for fun here on the simulator. You can get some really good numbers still with this. Apart from if you hit it out of the toe with an awful swing path. See, that's the one, like an absolute knuckleball, spinning sub 2000, pitching up at 260, releasing up to 280 yards, ball speed 158, like nearly 160 ball speed, and I mean, it's not the best shot I'm ever going to hit, but for the numbers, if we can really get this a bit more from the inside, that felt absolutely brilliant. And it's just nice and consistent, isn't it? Spins consistent, ball speed was down on that one, which I'm not sure why. We've got a rip roar from the crowd. I think it lands into an upslope there, so it's not going to release too much, but... Look at that soar through the air, Bob. I'm just a fan. For the money, I'm just a fan. I hate this hole, but I've only spent 140 quid. We're going to hit one more. We're going to hit one more. It's a yellow one. Oh, there we go. That's why it's worth 140 quid. That was a big high draw. That's a shot shape I've been trying to hit all year with drivers that cost 4 times as much as this one. And so guys, there we go. That is a ball in the fairway with what I think is one of the best budget second-hand drivers money can buy. Get in the comments below, what do you think to those 5 clubs? Could you see yourself purchasing any of them? And apart from that, guys, I'll very much look forward to seeing all your smiling faces at the same time tomorrow. Bobby, I'll see you on the next tee. That guy's playing like French Connecticut.